So today we're going to talk about the joy of DIY. DIY is do it yourself, which means you're doing your own work. But before that, I have a story to tell you. Do you know what a suspended ceiling is? Here's a picture of one from our own house. I started taking this apart last weekend. I picked a tile up and all this stuff started falling out of the ceiling and hitting me on the head. Here's how that went down. Let's look at some of the treasures that I found in the ceiling. Before I do that though, I need to put on some latex gloves. You know it's going to get real when you gotta wear latex gloves.
Make sure you snap them.
Yeah. Snap them, what does that mean?
You snap the glove.
Okay. I don't wear latex gloves that often, but for this...
I don't either.
For this mission, they're required.
It's always like nefarious when you snap the glove.
Yeah, you'll see why in a second. No body cavity search, but
Ew.
yeah, sorry. Okay, here is what we discovered from our suspended ceiling.
I'm not touching that.
Yeah, you'll see why I have... the first thing that fell and hit me on the head was a movie. So we have... I'm not even going to say the title of this, and I'm just going to show it quick. We've blurred out the naughty bits so younger viewers won't be offended, and so we don't get a X rating or NC-17, whatever that is now. So we have a new movie. Can you see that?
Put it closer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of not showing up too well.
Yeah, well, that's okay. You
yeah, that's okay.
Ew, don't put that on my
And
phone.
then we have some new reading material. It looks like a sophisticated magazine because this is called High Society. We're pretty sophisticated people, so yeah, look at the back, 100% class with an unbeatable ass, apparently. Okay,
Bottom.
so
You could just say bottom.
new reading material. And then we found this,
Ew.
the previous occupant must have been a police officer because here we have some handcuffs. And now we have it looks like a toy, a prophylactic condom. And then finally, last but certainly not least, blindfolds. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know what went on here. So this discovery brings up an important question. Have you been naughty?
Ew. Other fun things we found in the house so far are a kind of impressive collection of bongs.
Yeah, this one's pretty cool. It's got the Colorado logo on there. Yay!
Ooh, state pride.
You can love your state and get high at the same time. Let's look at the next one. I don't even know which way is up and down. I'm not.
I think your mouth goes on there, but I don't know. This isn't my thing. It is my state's thing, but this isn't our thing. So we don't know how to use these. Another Colorado pride.
Yeah,
Yay,
yeah.
yay.
This guy really liked your female. I don't know who lived here before, but yeah, they like Colorado. That's good.
The glasswork is interesting on these if you're a glass artist.
Yeah, look at this one.
Oh, that looks like an actual, like a pipe.
Yeah, this
like you
looks like-
smoked tobacco out
Yeah.
of. But I'm guessing they didn't smoke tobacco out of this.
Interesting. Pro tip: when you move, take your bong collection and porn stash with you.
We're not here to talk about all the fun things that we have found in our house. I'm sure we'll find more because we haven't even started opening up the walls yet. If you found something in your remodel, please share a comment below. Okay, the whole point of this episode is the why of DIY. I get a lot of people telling me, oh, why would you do it yourself when you can hire it out? Well, why would we do it ourselves when we can hire it out?
Yeah, so I need to tell a story. About 20 years ago, we had just gotten married, and the fixture on the shower started leaking. So we're like, what's going on with this? And we didn't know how to do anything. We were completely incompetent as far as any DIY skills. So we did what anyone else would do. We got a phone book. We're old, 20 years ago. We got out our phone book. We found a plumber in there. We called him. So this guy came over, and he's like, yeah, it's leaking. I could fix it for $125, and I'll be back tomorrow at like 5 o'clock. So tomorrow came around, and he never showed up. And then the next day, he never showed up. I called him, left a message. He didn't call me back. So I was kind of angry at this point. So I'm like, I'm going to go to the library. There was no YouTube at this time. So I went to the library. I got a book on plumbing and figured out how to fix it myself. I went to the big box store, bought a couple, I think it was washers. I fixed it for like $1.25. And then a couple days after that, the guy called me up and was like, hey, I can come over now. And I kind of took a little bit of joy in saying, yeah, I kind of figured it out myself. So thank you, but no thank you. And that incident started us on our whole DIY journey.
And what's really disappointing when you're dealing with contractors is this is not a unique story. This is something that happens with a lot of contractors. If you are a contractor and you're watching this, call people back. Show up when you say you're going to show up. Right now, there's a kind of a shortage of contractors out there, so people are paying more. They're willing to pay more. They have to pay more because they can't do it themselves. Or they could, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can do it all yourself. You can learn how to do everything right here on this website. The 4 whys of DIY. Why would you do it yourself when you can hire it out? Number 1, you can save big money. That's not just a clever Menard slogan. That's actually why we do most of what we do ourselves. As you just said, you were quoted $125. That's 20 years ago pricing. You're not going to get anything for $125 from a plumber now. And that's not talking smack about plumbers. They have skills. They know how to use them, and you don't. So you're at their mercy. But when you do it yourself, you save, what was it, $1.25 in parts?
Yeah, I think
and
so.
A few hours of your time. But now you build on those skills. It's not like it takes you a few hours and then you never get to do it again. Well, we get to do it again.
One story with our current house is our pool needs to be replastered. So a contractor came over and I was talking to him, but he's like, oh yeah, I can replaster your pool. So I'm like, well, how long is it going to take? He's like, I can have it done in a day or two. I'm like, okay, what kind of materials do you use? He's like, oh, we just go get bags of concrete cement off the shelf at Home Depot. I'm like, how much is this going to cost? He's like, about $18,000. I'm like, whoa. And he must have seen the look on my face because he said, well, it costs a lot more in Colorado because no one has pools. If you were in Florida or California, the same job would be like $5,000. So I did what any person would do at this situation and looked on YouTube and figured out how to replaster it myself. It'll be a lot of work, but I could probably get the job done for well under $3,000, saving myself $15,000. So saving big money, reason number 1 to DIY.
I'm going to jump right in there and correct you. You said I did what anybody would do. No, you didn't. You did what you would do. You did what probably a lot of people who are watching this now will do. But most people would write out that $18,000 check. Maybe get another quote and write out that check. But most people aren't going to do it themselves.
We already talked a little bit about not being at the mercy of tradespeople. So if you can DIY something, you don't have to rely on anyone else who won't show up and might charge you an exorbitant price.
Yeah, you do it on your timeline. So if you have 3 hours to do something or 5 hours or whatever it's going to take, you get to choose when the job gets done. As opposed to the contractor, when you finally find somebody who will call you back, they're booked out weeks or months in advance. So your leaking faucet is going to leak for a while, or your electrical issue is going to be an issue for a while.
And I have another story about this. For our last house, we needed a carpenter to do the rough carpentry on our addition. So I looked up about 40 to 50 people from the internet and other sources. I asked friends for referrals. I called or emailed them all. Out of all those, I think about 5 of them actually returned my call. So 10% out of those 5, 2 showed up. Out of those 2, 0 bid on the job. So it's just very frustrating. It bugs the out of me when I'm calling someone because I want to give them money to do their job and they can't even bother to call you back.
And how long did it take you to go through the internet and find those people and make the phone calls and sit there and wait for them? And when the 2 came to view the house, like that took a lot of time itself. And that was a bigger project. We were actually adding a second story onto a house. That's not something that is easily DIY-able simply because there's large amounts of very heavy things that need to be held in place and lifted up and whatever. So we did need a contractor for that. We do hire contractors when we need large, heavy work done. But, all that took time only to find nobody.
Yeah. So reason number 2 to DIY, you are not at the mercy of tradespeople.
Number 3 is the confidence you get when you do a job well. I have learned how to, I went into this, you said we had no skills, I actually knew how to paint. But I have learned how to paint even better. And faster. I have learned how to install wood flooring. When I look at the wood floor in my old house, I am so proud of the job that I did. We've learned how to install tile. We've learned how to do electrical work and plumbing and what else? Everything.
Yeah, we could do pretty much anything. I could probably build a house just about by myself. Although you wouldn't want to do everything. Some work is better outsourced. But yeah, the other thing that's really nice is when something does break. Like we had a dryer break recently. We had a furnace break yesterday. Both those things I had never tackled before, but I fired up YouTube, found out that the dryer had a broken thermistor. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And the furnace had simply blown a fuse. I probably saved hundreds of dollars because how much did the fuse cost at Home Depot? Like $2 or something?
It was $4.
It was $4, but still a service call alone is like $75 just to have someone come out. Reason number 3, DIY gives you confidence, and I think it's a bit of a superpower. It's amazing when something breaks and you know you can fix it yourself. Or if you want to redo a bathroom, you know you can retile it this weekend or install a shower or whatever.
Yeah, and that leads us to a little bit of foreshadowing. Later down the road, we are going to redo an entire bathroom in a weekend or a week.
Yeah, 1 week. I think I'll be able to do a bathroom that would probably cost me about $5,000 for under $1,000 in a week. So tune in for that video in a couple months.
Under 1,000? That's going to be under like 500, right?
Yeah, I don't know. We had that fancy vanity and.
That's right. We're doing everything except the shower.
Yeah. This brings us to reason number 4, pride. There's nothing better than doing your own bathroom. Like, look at this dinosaur bathroom that we did. So you sit back after you spent this time designing and putting this slate tile down and coming up with this cool bathroom. And you can look at it and say, I did that myself. This is incredible. Like, how cool is that? When we look at our house now, like the bookshelf we built or just the posts on the front, all these things are incredible. And I'm so happy to look at these things. And it's not... For me, the pride is probably the main reason. I can look at that, and even, here's more toilet talk, I'm sorry. I plumbed my current house, or the last remodel we did, and whenever I flush a toilet, the thing I think about every time is the pipes that my stuff is traveling through, I put in myself.
I don't think that.
I think it every time. It's amazing.
Oh, gross.
If you do a cool big DIY project, you might want to even film it and put it on YouTube for the world to see. Who would want to watch that?
To recap, the 4 reasons for DIY. Number 1, you can save really big money. Number 2, you are not at the mercy of tradespeople. You can do it on your own timeline. Number 3 is the superpower and confidence you get from doing a job. And number 4 is the pride in a job well done.
Number 5 is the stuff you find
what are
in
you
the house.
reading?
There's some great DIY tips in
Ew,
here.
put that down. If you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe below.